Okay, before we start our lecture, supposed to be this is our first exam, but I will move it to uh, Thursday. So Thursday will be your written, and then Friday will be your laboratory exam. Now, more importantly, I have seen a lot of students who did not pass the activity on Friday. So I hope that you would actually uh, improve that and then submit the next laboratory works. So I already gave you the time you need. So I hope that by next time you would actually pass the activities that I have set. So there are students who really did submit on Saturday, but I still see a handful of students who did not pass. To give you the figures, it's 15 out of 20 plus. So I hope that you would improve that because obviously laboratory activities really count to your grade. So I don't know where would I pull the numbers if you don't have an activity with that. So just a reminder lang. Anyways, for the topic for our final exam, first exam, it would be including this one. Wait, is this that one? Yeah, it would include this one alongside with a new topic. Let me check. Maybe I got it wrong. Okay. So our lecture today will also be included into the first exam. Anyways, it's not that difficult. It's just uh, methods and operators. So that way, that would help you during your first exam. Then by Wednesday, we will have our review, and then tomorrow I will check your essay so that we could find out why you guys performed so poorly. Because I was expecting at least only less than 10 students who would submit, but it seems like it has a very big figure. So 20 out of 15 out of 20 did not pass. So that's really a lot for me. That's really a lot for me. So I think you thought in total there's only 30 plus students in here, 38 I think. So 15, so it's almost a half. So I hope that those who know who did not pass the activity would actually pull an effort and submit next time. Okay. That really counts up to your grade kasi. Okay, so I believe that some of you already had encountered uh, this one, especially in our two laboratory activities. So some of you already use the power method POW, and then some of you also use the square root. So I also observed some of you tried to use that. How do you call that one? There is a square root operator, but I believe that thing does not exist. I don't know how you managed to search that, but kudos for you. But it's not part of the standard, so I recommend that you don't use that one. Rather, you would use the actual square root method because there's an SQRT. You use the proper one, don't use the other one because it might give you a problem later. So anyways, this is just an overview about the methods and operators, and then, of course, some of the things that you need to know before we move into the medium or intermediate stuff. So again, this is the class resources. I've already uploaded the slides in here and also the video. So recap from your previous courses. So pretty much you are not new to methods. You have been using that since second year pa. You're already third year right now, so pretty much you don't really need to be in-depth in explaining the methods. Am I right? So except lang for the others who still have a problem with programming. So anyways, for those who did not pass, I will give an extra coursework for you so that you can help yourself with that. So you cannot blame me as well. So, of course, you already know that what constructs a method. Diba? We have a method name and the parameters. We always use that. So of course, the most important thing is that what you pass into those parameters. Diba? There is always a proper way to use a method. Parameter 1 should always be an integer. Parameter 2 should always be a string. So there's a proper ruling for each. Now, of course, because PHP is a programming language, it also has methods. So it's really nothing new. And some of the things that you actually use, like counting the length of the array, concatenating strings, are also part of PHP. Albeit it's a bit different somehow. So, of course, just a recap, if you have forgotten already what functions or methods are, again, they are the same, functions and methods. So, the only difference is that methods is commonly used in OOP, functions is more used into older programming language like C. So anyways, they are keywords that already contain an action. So some of them are predefined, meaning they are there. The moment you start using the programming language, it is part of it. So of course, do you know which method is unique? Unique compared to the others? Because it does not require a parameter. Which, do you have an idea what I'm talking about? A method that does not require a parameter. Can anybody tell me which method is it? Yes, Zosa. What's your idea? A method that is unique to PHP because it's the only one that does not require a parameter. That? No? Any other? You have been using that in your last two activities. A method that does not require a parameter. It doesn't even require a parenthesis. Yes, echo. So echo is unique because it's the only method that does not require a parameter. Okay? So of course, there are certain functionalities, there are libraries as well. So if for example, you want to generate a QR code, of course, the PHP does not have that by default. But there are already existing libraries that you can use for QR code. You know QR code? The square picture that has only a black and white. You scan it out, then picturean lang nimo, you get a data. There's a libraries for that, and it's pretty easy to use. You just need to download the file, unzip it, and include a particular file, and then you got it working already. So of course, the methods just works as is, except that there is only one difference. In VB, in Java, it's very strict in data type. In PHP, it does not. So you have to also bear that in mind. So it won't tell you that you are wrong because you passed the wrong data to parameter 1 because there's no way for it to check if it is an integer. So as well, importing libraries in PHP is much more easier because you don't need to add an extra step. Meaning, I'll just have to download the zip, unzip it through the directory of the project, and then you have a working library already. You don't need to add a reference, you don't need to import a jar file. That's how simpler things can get with PHP. So, common PHP methods and functions in here. So, these are the list of methods that are commonly used. Of course, these are not the only methods that are part of PHP. Believe me or not, there's a lot of methods in there that you could use. But, of course, we only use, the commonly used things are these 6. I think number 1 is already, you have already seen this, diba? Is-set. So, as a matter of fact, every PHP code has an is-set somewhere because it is a way to check whether or not the variable is initialized. So let's start first with is-set. So they're actually the same. The only difference is that whatever the output is of is-set is the opposite of is-null. So, if ESET will return a true on that scenario, ISNAL will return a false. Wala kabaliktaran lang niya. So, ESET is used to identify if the variable is already initialized. So, it can work even in arrays. Diba? Remember in your activity, we use the post. Diba? Post is an array. Always remember that. Post is an array. Now, part of an array, you have to check if it is already initialized. If it is not, you do something else. Diba? If you remember your activity, we have an if and else. If it is set, a message will appear, else it will not. Diba? That was the case on your activity. Similar in here, ESET is used to check for outputs. Certain methods also use the ESET, but not always. So, they are mainly used for checking inputs and error trapping. So, if you use ESET in a method, usually they are part of the error trapping. Pero, in part of the HTML code, they are used for displaying. Like, condition ba na, magawas lang ng pop-up box if nag-input si user. Di siya magawas if dili pakita. So, the next one is count. So, it's used to check the number of items inside an array. So, used mostly to traverse an array inside the loop. But of course, we will get more into this once we start tackling the arrays, which would be next after first exam. So, count is heavily used, believe me, because you will be sending back and forth array, and then at the same time, you want to traverse that array at a certain point, and then you display it. Database query is returned as an array. So the moment you start using a database, this one is heavily used now. So let's try it in here. Let's see. OneDrive. So we have here the test. Open some. Localhost. Okay, we will use this one. But of course, we're going to remove everything now. So, we will use count. But before that, let's start with an introduction of array. Because array in PHP works a bit different. So, let's start first with the definition. So, unlike in other programming languages, arrays in PHP are created using a method. Diba? In Java, it is data type, then the amount. Usually covered with a square bracket. But in PHP, it is created using array. So more importantly, an array in PHP can store multiple data types. So like in here, in this example, A0 is an integer, A1 is a string, A3 is a double. So you could store a lot of data, different data inside an array. Actually, later we will go to keys, which you will appreciate. Good. So anyways, let's start with that. So, in here, start with our usual HTML. Wow. Automated na, no? Test our PHP arrays. Okay? So in here, let's start to add a PHP tag or magic keyword. And then let's have here names is equal to array. So this one is you're already using an array with this. So to check this out, let's try to see. Let's try to use a method. Var dump names. So as you can see, it is an array of size 0. can actually push with that. So let's try to push some names in here. So one, names that 2 is equal to. So this is also perfectly legal. Oh, right, var dump there. Var dump names. So var dump is used to check debug data. But they are not used in an actual code. Var dump is only used if you are debugging. Like, you want to check on say data sulod. But you never use the var dump when it's an actual code. This is one thing you should at least learn from me. So in here, as you can see with the var dump, I'll try to zoom in this for you. This does not help. Okay, as you can see, the array is 3. But look at the indexes. The 0 is an integer, 1 is a string, and then the 0.55 is the float. So, an array in PHP can contain different data types. This is the proof of that. So, you could like make an array, put every result in that, and then you could push that into another program or another PHP page. That is what is the good thing with the arrays. So, diba? Remember in our first discussions, I said that PHP is a loosely typed programming language because it doesn't care about data type. So this is also one of those examples where in which it doesn't really care about the data type. Although there's a data type, do not be mistaken na PHP does not have a data type. It has. This is an example: int, string, and float. Just like in your Java and Visual Basic. But this one does not really care. Diba? Kaya kung sa Java, array is only composed of multiple data but single data type. So, kaninang array, kung sa Java ni siya, only integer lang ba? Only string? Only float? But it cannot be more than one. But in here, in this case, it can be any. So, mo na naka-unique sa yaha. Okay, so I hope that you appreciate that one. So, let's start to use the count. So, pretty much, we don't need the count here. Kaya na may size 3. But of course, this is only used for debugging. You never use this on an actual code. Because makabalo kung unsay sulod ang data type na. You don't want that. Especially if it is in the hands of somebody who knows how to program. Maybe they will do something about it. So yeah, let's try echo count names. Three. So but that is the length. Now of course, we could use the for loop. It has a very similar structure to Java, except you don't have a data type na. So $i is equal to 0. $i is less than count names I++. Di ba? Marang pareha lang sa Java, except it has the $i before it starts. So we can start it here, echo names, then I. So, see in here. Oh, so as you can see, 1AB055. We could add a BR in here. Or that way, it would go to the bottom side, the next one. So you can see 1AB and 0.55. So what do you think about the code of PHP so far? Is it okay? Don't you find it ugly? Some people, this is one of the reasons why some people do not like PHP, because of the $sign. Some of them don't like it because it kinda, I don't know, they feel it's ugly, but it's up to you if you think it that way. But if you are, the only difference is everything you do, accessing an array, there's always a dollar sign. Even later when we start doing classes, mag-create a class, you will still use the dollar sign. So, wala nakalahi. So there's a mandatory dollar sign for almost everything that you do. So some of them don't like this dollar sign. They feel oppressed. They feel oppressed nga they cannot do anything they want. I'm not sure about that though. Okay? Sige. So let's move on. So that's the array for you. strlen. So this one is very similar to string.length, but of course there's no .length in PHP. So you have to use the strlen and then put the string inside that. So for example, in here, we type in a name, Madagas. We type echo, name is strlen name. To do that. Then, let's proceed. Refresh this one. Wait, didn't I? Ano ko? Is 10. 10 characters. Okay, Madagascar is 10 characters. So you can count that manually, but the method already does that for us. Okay, so next is the date. So later on also, we will, once we start discussing classes, we will go in depth with this. There's a lot of things you can do with this. So date is one of the methods that really makes PHP a powerful programming language. Nga naman, you can do comparison with this. You can make a filter out of that. Some of it, put it as part of the website. Di ba? Na mga copyright. You don't, most of the developers tend to do it automatically. So if it is 2018, automatically it will update to 2018 with little to no hassle about the developer's part. They don't need to update this. So date is used to create a date object. So some normally used to compare dates for filtering purposes, but can also be done with automatic copyrights. Sometimes though, developers use stored procedure or function to check time of date because database also has a way to retrieve date and time. But of course, one thing you should understand is that the date relies on the server side. So whoever is running the PHP server, so the date of that computer will be the basis of the result. So for example, all of you are connected to my laptop. So today is what? February 5. So let's say that the time in your computer is 1 day late. So you are in your computers is February 4. But in my case it's February 5. When you connect to the website, the date that will be returned would be the date of in this laptop. So if this is the February 5, in your computers is February 4, what you will see is February 5. So it will base on the server. So if the server is misconfigured, meaning let us say there are cases class where the server's battery, the CMOS battery. You're aware of that, right? The one that keeps track of the time of the computer. So once it gets drained out, if the server restarts, the time would go to a specific date. Like it will go back to 1990s, depending on the manufacturing of the computer. So, if you notice that it will go back to 2008, there's only one meaning of that. The server, for some reason, restarted, but because the CMOS battery is dead, it did not return the correct date. Because it is basing the date on the server side. So have you encountered that? A wrong date? Wala pa. Nanang ubad. There are cases this happens. Usually on not so popular websites. But believe me, when you see that, there's only one explanation. Somebody forgot to configure the time. But of course, there are efforts naman these days na automatic update of time when there's an internet connection. So you don't feel it too much. But there are scenarios, special scenarios where this happens. So you should watch that out. Yes. That's a different topic. I'll answer that na lang personally. Okay, so let's move on. So this is an example of that. Echo today is that, date, year, month, and day. Let's try this one. Echo today is date YMD. Let's add a BR with this one, then HR, so that there's a line. So you get the 2018-0205. If you connect to my computer, it would still return the same date. If I configure this to be a different date, you would get the time in my laptop. So let us say, for example, I change the date in here to 6. You would get 6. Okay. So of course, I don't want to have the incorrect date, so I'm going to change that. So of course, you could change the order of the date. So if you don't want it to be year, month, and day, you want it to be day, month, or year, you could do so. Change those parameters in. As you can see, it changes. So, but some of us prefer the MDY. I think that is usually the case in here. So you use the MDY. 0205. So let's try other values. Actually, there are a lot of values for the date, not only MDY. Some of them make it turn into words like this one. So if you want it to be like that, no problem. Feb 05. If you don't want to use this forward slash, you add the comma over here to do it like that. So there's a lot of things that you could actually do. Today is February 5, 2018. Okay, let's see. We have the L, I think. I'm not sure. Let's try. Then echo, then date, L. Monday. You can get also the particular day of the week with that. Diba? Change this to capital L. See what happens. Becomes 0. 0 is for it the Monday. Of course, we don't like that. We prefer the word. So, for some reason, you want your website to include the date. Today is, then please do so. To do that. The date method. Okay, moving on. So, just like PHP, Java, PHP has a plethora of time-related functions and methods. So, later on, you will have the choice to pick. You can even use it to add, like existing day, add kag one day, you could use that with PHP. Like, what will be the day if we add 13 days from now? You could do that and query that to PHP as well. But we will discuss that once we get to the classes part. So, there are also cases where people do it like this, copyright 2010 dash. They don't want to keep track of the year na. So, they let PHP do it na lang. So, echo date Y. So, we could certainly try that as well in here. So, we add BR, then, and copy. So, 2010 slash PHP echo date. Okay, in here. We do it like that. Changes as well. Some people do this. But of course, you will know, kay, if you watch out for 2019, you will see certain websites that is still 2018. So you will know if in January 1 it is updated to 2019 because nobody works on January 1. Believe me with that. So if you see a website during January 1, 2019, it's actually changed to 2010/2019. There's only one meaning with that. If it is during January 1, that is New Year pa, so they use the automated code. But if you still see this, 2018 ang last, mano-mano ang update sa year. But there are websites that do the manual stuff because they really update it every new year. But not all of them. So you will notice na siya. Okay, on January 1, actually not on January, starting from December 26 to January 1, rarely people will work during those times. Okay? Most of the time they're on vacation. Okay? So we have that. So the directory. So it is used to create and manipulate directories relative to the directory of the page. So later on, we will get into this, including the file handling. Because aside from the database, PHP could do file handling too. Why can I say that? It's because when you upload something on a PHP server, PHP will be the one to handle that. So if it's only an empty Apache will not allow you to upload data. So for most part, if the whole system of the website is powered by PHP, it's easy to assume that PHP is the one responsible for uploading files and the data. So I'll give you an example. Mega. Do you know Mega? Mega Co. in New Zealand? You don't pirate? Wow. Mega is a popular file sharing site. So their website version uses PHP. So the one that handles the uploading of data is, in fact, PHP. So the one that keeps in track of your files is PHP as well. Just a brief code. Okay? So let's move on to operators. So it's very, very straightforward. We have the plus, minus, multiplication, and division. So they're still using the same symbols as before. We have still the modulo, but I think exponent is new for you. So unlike in Java where you use the math.pow or pow in VB, in PHP we have the exponent. So for example in here, if it is 5, then double asterisk 2, it is similar to 5 to the power of 2. So let's try this one. Let's go. 5 to the power of 3. That. So 125. That is 5 to the power of 2. 5 to the power of 3. So 5 times 5 times 5. So, it's 125 the answer. Exponent na siya. Of course, there is still POW. I believe their POW still exists. Not that. No, sorry. I think I put the wrong parameter. 5 and 3. So it will still give you the same result, 125 still. So it's up to you if you use the method style or the operator style. So it's very similar. But as you can see in my slide, there is no square root. Yeah. I'm not sure if 1/2, power of 1/2 actually works. Let's try it out. 9, then 0.5. So it should return 3. Diba? Square root of 9 is 3 because 3 times 3, 9. 3 times 3, 27 ba? Shock motor 3 times 3, 27. It's 3. So, if you remember your math, I believe square root can be expressed into a power. So you could still use that. So I think that was what you guys were talking about, na power, square root operator. But there's no square root operator. So if you want to do something similar to that, you could use the exponent of a 1/2. But remember, there is cube root, there is lot of roots out there, so it's not only square root. So pwede na siya, anak, 9 to the power of 0.5, that's 9 power of 1/2, and then we refresh that, it would still be 3 in here. And you can answer that as, let's have an echo where square root of 9 is that, 3. Using the 0.5. But, of course, some people recommend this SQRT. So, pwede ito mag-SQRT of 9. That's what people do, Jud. And that's what I recommended you guys to do. Unless kabalo mo atong square root with a power. So, still the same result. Either way. Okay? Let's move on. So, we have also comparison operators, but they are pretty similar except there is one new thing that is added. There is the identical. So, aside sa equal, there is also identical. And it is exposed with 3 equal signs. Or 2 equal signs and an exclamation point. So, the difference between equal and identical is that in equal comparison, only values are compared in their actual value. No data type is compared. But if it is identical, it must be of the same data type as well. So, what am I saying? Try this out. Let's try this. Echo. Try to BR sabi. BR. Okay. 9 is equal to 9. What do you think will be the output of this one? Wait, gitudluan man may sa Java na cannot be. Remember, PHP is not Java. It's a loosely typed programming language, so the best way is to check it out for ourselves. So the answer is 1. 1 is true. So but let's add an extra equal. It won't return false, Jude. It will only return 0 or empty. Empty. An empty string. So as you can see in here. So there is a difference between the two. So let's try to add an identical. Ibalik ko sa chug 1. Kita ninyo. So as you can see, there is a difference. There's a difference between the two. So of course, it's much more easier if we don't use this, but we use the magic of var dump to expose the state. So let's try to have var dump in the of the two, except that we use the identical. Then we also copy this with the equal sign so that we have a point of reference to actually observe. So this is the equal, this is the identical. So identical lang una, sa baba niya kay ang equal. So you can see true, false, false, true. Okay. True siya sa 9 is not identical to 9. True. False siya when we say 9 is identical to 9, which is false, good, completely. Because even though they are the same value, remember that the first one is a string acting as a number. On the other hand, on the second one is an actual integer value. Sa diri sa PCAS, it's the opposite because, of course, 9 is 9, so it cannot be 9 is not equal to 9. But in the second one, it became true because the value of 9 is equal to 9. But it did not care about the data type. So always watch out for this. I also included this on the exam as a bit of a trick. So itong mga absent ron na, medyo na masakit na sila if they don't know this one. Okay? Also, one of the nice things about var dump is that it actually points out the line number. So if you really are debugging, you might want to consider using a var dump because the var dump will actually give you everything. The value, what is inside of it, everything out will be exposed with the var dump. Diba no, nice siya? It's very nice. So, this one is an improvement. So, we have the string operators, the concatenate, and the concatenate assignment. So, remember, in your Java, you use the plus to concatenate. In VB, you use the ampersand. In Java and PHP, we use the dot. So, I was purposely doing the separate echo. I hate doing this. I was purposely doing this because I don't want to introduce yet to you the dot operator. But now we will do that. So, in here, we can add a dot to connect the two. Then we can add another dot to concatenate these two. SQRT. And then we can add another dot in here to make it into a single line. So we could actually do this. So, instead of separate echo statements, we could make it into one from a concatenation of multiple strings. So the resulting value of this is still the same. Nothing has changed. Except, in the code, it's much more shorter. Concatenate na siya. So remember that concatenate operator is dot, not an ampersand, not a plus. So some beginner programmers in PHP tend to use the plus. I'd like to tell you right now that is not how it works. You use the dot for concatenating. Okay? Moving on. So, I think we should stop in here, so that we could get more time later. Because after the first exam, we will start already tackling about classes. Okay? Most of the stuff that you will actually use in PHP are in a class. I'll give you examples. MySQL, the object that you will manipulate for database is in OOP. But not only that, others as well. So it's much more better if I introduce it to you early. And then remember the class keyword in your Java and in your VB.NET. There is also that. It is also used in PHP as well. So, do you have any questions? Balik ka sa dapita. So it's still pretty standard things that you already know. Greater than equal, they all still work the same except there is an identical. So nakalay lang sa identical o sa equal. Sa identical, i-check po niya appeal ang data type. Pero di ba no, if you remember your Java lesson, ginatudluan mo na mali ni. Because that language is strictly typed. So meaning, kung si integer, dapat si integer. But PHP is not like that. It is a loosely typed. So, welcome to this world where a programming language can have many different interpretations. What other questions do you want me to answer? Kato kanon later lang, I'll answer that to you personally. That is not, it is really far off for your topic. Nice, nag-prepare na mo da, ano. It's good to actually see that people are preparing already. Ako na i-upload sa resource site, i-upload. Yes. Wait, I don't upload on Schoology. I use the resource site exclusively for that. That way, you could share that to your friends if you want to. Kasi sa Schoology, you cannot really share that. Mag-quiz ta, yes. No, not today. You can use a Scratch today. Only on Wednesday, I do collect. Yes, mag-quiz. Papakanaan na di grip. Wala, oy, kaya nakuta naman ka. Stop recording, I suppose.